Mr. David Mintz is founder and chief executive officer of Tofuri.
We went public in December of '83, and there must have been 3-4 years later, maybe '87, something like that. I get a call from the chairman and president of the Ralston Purina, which is one of the major grain companies, and very big company. You know, I believe that at that time they were over $40 billion in sales, and been around for a couple hundred years. And they said they were like, the president says, "I'd like very much to have lunch with you." I said, "Oh, I'd be honored." I said, "When would you be in town?" He says, "Well, I thought we'd have it today." I says, "Well, are you in town?" He says, "No." I said, "I'll send a jet to pick you up." I said, "Oh," I said, "that'd be an honor. And when would you like to arrange that?" He says, "Well, it's around 10 o'clock now. What do you say we make it for 12 noon? I'll have a jet pick you up." At 12 noon, I said, "Oh, and okay, we'd love to do that." And so then I felt, let me take along someone else with me. So I decided I'll take along my chief financial officer at that time. And he, of course, is willing to come along. So then we drove out to Teterboro Airport, which was maybe 15, 20 minutes away from our company, or a half hour. And it was like maybe less than an hour. We're in St. Louis. And then the limousine's waiting. They take us up to the tower. I think it was like the 50th floor of and that was the penthouse office. And all the whole office is only glass. You know, you could see 4 walls of glass. It was amazing. I've never seen. And a gentleman, a very elderly gentleman, comes along and he says, "I'm the chairman. I'm pleased to meet you," and so on. I don't remember his name now. And it was my associate, Mr. Melcole, my chief financial. And we were sitting talking, and they said, "What would you like? I know you're kosher." And they said, "We have some tuna." But I said, "No, I'm okay. It's just I have a drink. It'll be fine. Diet Coke. That's what I lived on." And they said, "Well, we'll make it. We won't waste your time. It was just to tell you why I've asked you to come to join us." And it was just him alone and with us. And he said, "I'd like to make an offer of a minority interest in your company. I'm prepared to give you a check for $20 million to start. And this will be a minority interest in your company." So my associate at that time, when he heard this, he got, I mean, he almost couldn't catch his breath. And I was very taken back. I says, "Oh, my goodness." And I says, "You know what, of course," I said, "let me discuss it with my board." And, you know, as I know, you're a public company. We're very much interested in your company, and we'd like to start and get them. So the first thing I did was call the Rebbe. And I asked Rebbe Grona, "Please, this is what, can you ask he says, "Okay, I'll ask the Rebbe." And meanwhile, put it down on paper, and we'll have it on record that. He gets back to me in a couple hours later. The Rebbe, this is what the Rebbe said. Again, he said, "B'shum oifenish." Absolutely not. He said, "It's very nice, the offer, but it's not for you. Because if it's good for them, it's much better for you. If it's worthwhile for them to invest the $20 million, it's much more worthwhile for you." So we had a board meeting, I think, the following day. And we called a very quick meeting, and they're very excited about it. So as well, he says, "Oh, and they're exploring it." So, gentlemen, before you go any further, I'd like to tell you how I feel about it, and whether you agree or not, this is what I decided, with all due respect to the board, that I'm going to turn it down. So everybody jumped up. He says, "What are you, out of your mind? What are you talking about? This is a golden opportunity. What's with you?" He says, "You got fever or what?" And they couldn't understand why I'm turning something like this down. And he said, "What are you doing?" He says, "This will lead to..." And it so happened that the Rebbe said, "B'shum oifen," and I followed that, and I had to, they thought that I lost my marbles. You know? They couldn't understand the board. And these are professional. And then I have the outside investor, the director, rather. And they said, "This will be the laughing stock, you know, in the market." So what's your reasoning? The reasoning is that later on, I had to give some sort of reason why. He says, "Well, I don't feel comfortable." He says, "Yeah, but you have to take the advice of the experts." I says, "Well, with God's help, we will do well without that. And later on, it turned out they came to me and they said, "How did you have the foresight to know?" Because they did more research on it, and these are very professional people, that the companies like Ross and Perina or Kraft Foods or major companies, especially in the Ross and Perina is notorious. They buy small companies, or they get an investment in there, and then to them this is like a toy. And after they see a toy, they like to try it, take it for a ride, this and that, and then after a while they lose interest, and then the company becomes it just disappears. This is the history of these major companies. They buy toys. To them, $20 million is a joke. I mean, it's like play money. And I mean, if a company is doing over 40 billion in sales, they say, let's buy this little toy that looks like a trinket. And you, God forbid, it would have been very detrimental. So I said, how did you have the foresight? Again, I put my trust in Hashem, and this is the thought I got, and they couldn't understand. So I mean, I couldn't go in to explain that the Rebbe told me this and that, because they couldn't comprehend that. So